Hey everyone, today I am unboxing the December Illumicrate. Now I haven't actually even filmed my update for the November one because I've been a little bit behind because of some very annoying things happening in my personal life. But I received the December one. I didn't realize that Illumicrate would be sending it a little bit earlier than they do other months because they're closed over the holidays. But I'm very happy to have it here now. This is one of the boxes for which I don't actually know which book is going to be in there. It is going to be a sci-fi one. And so let's just have a look together. So the theme for the month was In the Stars, which is also one of the reasons why I know it's a sci-fi book. Yeah, let's just dive into it, right? So first up, we have a little box here. So that gets rid of the paper. So a little box here that has like the celestial theme going on, and it has a quote already here that says, "Books are a way to live 1,000 lives." It's 1,000 lives, designed by Milk Lead Annie. And let's see, it's a TBR jar apparently. It says so on the top of the lids, which I have a very small TBR at the moment, so but maybe I can use it for like my want to read list or something like that, which would be a little bit more exciting than putting like 20 TBR books in here. And so it has that same quote on it. I will have a close-up of this because you probably won't see anything from that distance. It's actually also a little bit difficult to see from this distance just because, you know, it's see-through and because nothing is in it, of course, at this point in time. But so it is that same quote, "Books are a way to live 1,000 lives." It is very nice. It is a cute little piggy bank where you can put your TBR in, or of course you can use it as a regular piggy bank as well if you don't want to use it for a TBR jar. But I might put some sort of like books on my want to read list in here, maybe like my oldest books or something like that. Next up we have a cloth item. So this looks to be a microfiber towel with some sort of a celestial theme on. Stargate Donut, it mentions. Ta-da! Which I don't know what it refers to. We'll look at that later. You know, it's cutesy. It's not really my design, but I can definitely get some use out of this. Next up, and this is a little bit unfortunate because I have one of these already. I bought one very recently, so this is like a week planner. So I have multiple of these lying around. I don't actually use them. I bought a new one recently, kind of intending to use it more, which I haven't done since I got it. And so now we have a new one, but in principle this is a very handy item. It's just the type of thing that I don't tend to use a lot. The only place that I actually tend to use them is at work, so maybe I should just move this one to the workplace. Next up we have a calendar. I don't have a calendar yet for this year, I think. Oh yeah, I do, because I donate to the World Wildlife Fund, and so they also send a calendar every year. But so this is a Illumicrate 2024 calendar with artwork from Katerina Wittkowka. And let's see some of the art in here. I'm not going to show all of it because that's going to be too much time spent. So we have this sort of like castle over here for January. Oh, it says so on the box, on the months. It says like Artemisia Palace, the Lunar Chronicles, and then it also has a quote from that book at the bottom. Oh, that's really lovely. That's from She Who Became the Sun. It's the Ya River. And then from Under the Whispering Door. So you get the point. It's going to be from multiple books, and I'm gonna stop showing you guys now because I also want to kind of keep it exciting for myself, you know. And then we have the book. Let's just figure out if this is the final thing in there. Yeah, nothing else underneath. So I can already see part of the title, and I can already tell that this isn't going to be my favorite piece of art, I think, because I don't really like artwork with people on the front. So this is the book. So The Principle of Moments by Esme Jikimi Pearson. That's not going to be the way that you pronounce that. And so as indicated, it has two people on the front cover. I don't particularly enjoy that in my artwork, and it has a star printed side edge. At the back we have that same art coming back, and a little bit of a referral from Ben Aronovich, which he's a sort of like mystery fantasy writer, which isn't really my jam neither. So I hope that this isn't too much like his books. I mean, to be fair, I haven't never tried them, you know. Then on the front we have this silver foiling. Courage is the only thing stronger than fear, and love is a thread that holds the atoms of this universe together. Beautiful quotes. We have the title, the back is empty, and then we have these end pages. And at the back, are they the same? Yeah. Different ones at the back. These ones. I like them. They're like very non-committal in the sense that it doesn't really give you much of a sense. You know, like the first one definitely, like the front one definitely gives a sense of like biosphere somewhere on like a Martian setting or something like that. Whereas the last one just looks like, I don't know, like a government building or a library or something like that, a museum. Let's see if there is a signature. Seems to be digitally printed, and then an author's note, which doesn't appear to be exclusive, so it's just that signature, no author's letter in this edition. And then let's check out the actual description of this book. Wow, we're going really into the future here. So the year 6066. In Emperor Trasin's brave new galaxy, humans are not citizens but indentured laborers, working to repay the debt they unwittingly incurred when they settled on Garan, a desert planet already owned by the Emperor himself. Asha Akindele knows she is just another voiceless cog working the assembly lines that fuel his vast imperial war machine. Her only rebellion? Studying stolen aeronautics manuals in the dead of night. But then a cloaked stranger arrives to deliver an impossible message, and her life changes in an instant. 1812. Obi Amadi is done with time traveling. Never mind the fact he doesn't know how to cure himself of the temporal sickness he caught whilst anchoring his soul to Regency London, the one that unmakes him further with every jump. Or if the prince he loves will ever love him back, or why his father disappeared. He is done until he hears about the ghost of a girl in the British Museum, a girl from another time. When Obi's path tangles with Asha's and a prophecy awakens in the cold darkness of space, they must voyage through the stars, racing against time, tyranny, and the legacy of three heroes from an ancient religion who may be awakening, reincarnated in ways beyond comprehension. So what I love about this, first of all, it doesn't appear to be a murder mystery the way that I was like fearing just from that sort of like recommendation from Ben Aronovich, but it is a time jump book or a time travel book, and I do love time travel. I love the theme of time travel or that trope, so I'm very looking forward to that. And yeah, apart from that, it doesn't really give me much, you know, rebellion, space rebellion, time travel. But I'm very interested to see what I will think of this one. So yeah, I'll get back to you guys when I've read this one. I don't think I will still read it in 2023. Normally my intention with these is to like read them the moment they appear. But since my own readathon is still going on and I still have to finish like a few books for that, I'm not going to prioritize this one the way that I would normally have. So I'm going to make sure that I complete my readathon and then jump into this one. Maybe not even straight away. It's definitely not going to be my first book for 2024, but maybe my second. So for this month, I think the items are absolutely suitable for an end of the year box, to have a calendar in there, a weekly planners. This is just to get you ready for the new year. I unfortunately just was already ready for the new year, but I think I will still get a use out of this weekly planner. I will probably just move it to the workplace so that I can use it there instead of using it here, because here I find myself not really using them at all. Hello everybody, and I'm going to give you guys an update for the Principle of Moments. I'm currently giving updates for all of my Illumicrate books, it seems like, but so I am 40% into the Principle of Moments and I haven't really talked to you guys about it yet. I also am totally not reading this right after getting it. My intention with these books had been that like the moment I get my Illumicrate, I just pick it up and I immediately read it, and let's hope for the future that we can do that. But it is definitely not the case for this one. I got this book in December and we are now September. So I did start it in August, but like the majority of it is going to get read in September, and it is part of my magical readathon TBR, so I'm hoping to finish it this month and have this video be able to go out to you guys in early October. But so yeah, the Principle of Moments, it's not a full success story yet, but I will say that initially I was having a hard time with it, and that I'm definitely much more invested at this point in time. I'm just still not fully sold on it. So we have like, let's say we start off with mainly two perspectives that we're following, but I would definitely say that we're kind of like in a triple perspective situation at this point in time within the book. So we have basically like two timelines. We're following this girl in the future who's basically living on this sort of planet where humans are exploited as sort of like cheap labor by like robots or androids, and she's basically like trapped in a hopeless situation over there, but she's been taking steps to try and escape the planet. So basically she's been like self-educating by hacking into the database of a local university, and kind of taking classes like that and learning to fly and stuff like that in case she ever gets the possibility to escape this planet. And then one day when she comes home, she sees a stranger outside of her mother's door, and this stranger kind of sets stuff in motion for her. And then we have a past storyline in which we have a time traveler who basically is traveling back to the 19th century, early 19th century London, where he has left behind the love of his life, who is a prince of the realm. He's a prince of the United Kingdom. And he has left him behind because his father has gone missing, and so he has been traveling through time trying to find his father. However, he has an illness that kind of means that whenever he travels through time, something goes missing. Some of his limbs go missing, and so he's like part bionic at this point in time because he has jumped so much. But so now he's come back to the past to visit his to go back to his love, and try and mend the relationships there. But through circumstances, he is pulled back into another time. And so the third perspective that we're now really kind of following is the perspective of George, the Prince of England, who is not just going to be a passive element within this book. He's also going to have his stuff going down in his timeline. But because his timeline splinters off a little bit later, I don't really want to talk too much about what's happening in his timeline. But so, yeah, I'm enjoying it to some extent, but as I said, it was a little bit more difficult for me to get into, and it is a little bit more sort of like fast-paced that I tend to enjoy. So we'll have to see whether that kind of works out, but it is like a relatively long book. So it could, like, that could work to its advantage, but as I said, it is quite fast-paced, so I'm not entirely sure if the entire book is going to keep up at its speed, or whether it was just sort of like a rush in the beginning to get all of these plot lines moving, and if we're going to take a little bit more of our time with them from now on, then it might work better for me, because I feel like it's just a tad too plot-based for what I like, a tad too fast-paced for what I tend to enjoy, and also a tad too plot-based. There isn't a lot of like focus on character work at this point in time, and I kind of need a mix of plot and character for me to really like be hooked. And so this book isn't really delivering on that yet, but maybe it's just setting up a lot then, and it will deliver on that front later within the novel, for example. But so yeah, I just thought I'd give you guys like a mid-book reviews to make sure that, you know, like I give you some impressions of what my time with this book is like before we end up actually finishing, which I do hope to do within the next 2 weeks. Alright guys, so I have finished in the meantime The Principle of Moments by Esmond G. Kimmy Pearson, but I will say it was quite a struggle, especially towards the end, to get through it. So it has not been a success. And unfortunately, as I'm reading all of my books at the same time, I can tell you that that's been the case for quite a few of my Illumicrates at this moment. So yeah, I have basically put all the rest of the Illumicrates for this year on hold and made the intention that I'm only really gonna pick any of them up in case I am like really convinced that I want this book, rather than going for the, oh yeah, let's just see, maybe it might be better than expected or something like that, or might be surprised by it, which is definitely still a possibility. I have been surprised by some of my Illumicrates, but unfortunately right now I'm just got too many going on, with which I'm like, do I have to finish these? That I need a little bit of a break from, you know, like trying out or speculating with Illumicrate books. But so, this book started off okay. It is definitely quite much more fast-paced than what I enjoy, much more plot focused than what I enjoy. I am definitely a character focused reader, and at first that didn't necessarily like hinder me all that much yet in the book, but the further along we got, the more that really started to work against the book for me, because the less I started to care about what was going on, because if I don't have a connection to the characters, if I don't really care about the characters or don't get to know who they are, what they think like all that well, then, you know, I just don't necessarily care enough about plots in order to continue, or in order to really like commit it to memory. Of course I was reading 20,000 things all at once, so definitely like take that into account as well. Like, yes, it is definitely possible that the fact that I was reading so many things at once also contributed bigly to the fact that I couldn't keep this plot in my mind. But yeah, that is definitely the main thing here. There are three main plot lines, I would say. So we start off in Victorian England, or Georgian England maybe, I'm not entirely sure, with Prince George, who has a relationship with time traveler called Obi, and Obi has been kind of away for a long time. He's been traveling through time trying to find his father, who on his end then abandoned him at one point in time. But Obi has this sort of sickness, and so when he travels through time he loses his limbs, and so at one point in time he kind of has to like stop time traveling, so he returns back to George, and you know, is like committed to staying there from that point onwards. And you know, it's at that point in time we have sort of like reconciliation between the two of them, trying to re-establish bonds. And that's like, well, that was like my favorite part of the book, but it's only there at the very beginning, because then through circumstances Obi is kind of pulled to another time and place, and he meets up with our second character, who is a girl who is living in a planet where humans are basically like subservient to aliens. They are basically like factory workers for the aliens, and one day she comes home and she figures out some stuff about her mother, and finds out that she actually has a secret sister who is being kept prisoner somewhere, and so she is going off on an adventure to try and help and save her sister. And so that's where she meets Obi at some point in time, and their storylines start to intermingle. So we have the storyline of them then going off on the adventure trying to find his sister and save his sister. Meanwhile, in George's timeline, there's some sort of a monster or an evil entity who has made its way into his timeline, and who's kind of trying to find Obi there. And then actually Obi's father also comes into this timeline. But I feel like that storyline kind of gets abandoned. It's there from time to time, but I felt like it really wasn't really going all that many places. And I must say, I completely zoned out by the end of this book. Like the final 50 pages were such a struggle that I actually don't even know whether we had a conclusion of the Obi George sort of like story, whether they're like, did we end up tying these loose knots? Did this end up like being satisfactorily concluded. I don't remember, because at the end I was just really just like reading the words and no longer really taking them in, and that kind of makes me think that maybe I should really like abandon some of my Illumicrates that I'm currently like struggling through. The one thing that's keeping me going is the fact that I'm doing these types of videos for them, and so I'm like, yeah, but I have to read it in full to be able to give my opinion, because for some of these really there is no opinion except for the fact that I just cannot connect to those books, and so I am taking nothing in of what I'm reading from them, and then I feel like, yeah, I have to continue before I give my opinion. But like at this point in time, I'm like, I did this with the end of the Principle of Moments, and I cannot tell you anything about it because my brain was not present during the reading of it. So it had potential, and I did enjoy some of the sections, like mainly early on between what was her name actually? Between Asha and Obi, and there was like a third character, the adventures that they had in space, kind of that section I liked. But then we went through, then we got sort of like more explanation about this prophecy, but because there's a prophecy kind of intermingled throughout this entire story, and I kind of feel like once we went more into that aspect of the story, that it just didn't work as well for me anymore, that I didn't really care about that idea of like prophesized beings like being reborn and like recycling prophecy and stuff like that. That just didn't interest me all that much and didn't work for me. So sadly I gotta say that this one didn't work for me. I definitely feel like if you are more of a fast-paced reader, or if you enjoy plot-focused books more, if you don't really care all that much about spending a lot of time on characters or on character growth, then this could work a lot better for you. Which is not to say, of course, there's no character work in here, but there just isn't enough character work here for me to be able to enjoy the plot. So unfortunately this one is a big disappointment for me in the end, and yeah, it's one that I will be trying to sell probably. So yeah. On that sad note, I'm gonna leave you guys now. I hope you guys still enjoyed this video. Definitely let me know what you think of the items in this box, for example. And if you've read the book, let me know whether you enjoyed it more, what worked for you, what didn't work for you. Because I'm still trying to figure out completely what didn't work for me. It definitely is like part of that is that character focus, but like I'm also not entirely sure. Like I cannot fully pin down why the plot didn't grab me enough to be able to take over from that lack of character focus. But so yeah, with that I'm gonna end this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and see you guys for the next one. Bye!